Welcome to the show you've been waiting for. Penn State football gets a receiver in the class of 2025. I'm Thomas Frankar. Sean Fitz here for Blue White Illustrated, the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel. Please, if you're enjoying this run of Penn State football recruiting, you've watched all of our videos. We pumped out tons of these over the last couple of days. Basically, the last week, it has been like June Part 2 with all of these recruiting wins for Penn State. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. We're just shy of 14,000. I love round numbers. Join us. Don't wait. And by the way, as I'm saying, don't wait. The football season is just around the corner, even though we're still talking about recruiting into July. Sean Fitz, I will let you talk in here just a second, but I always forget to do this. Please subscribe to BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. Here off the top of the show, code PSU1, 2 months for $1 gets you in, gets you the premium info so that you can have this information maybe a little bit ahead of when these videos come out. You'll know some of the details. We get into the full breakdown here, but you could kind of have the smoke signal goes up a little bit earlier at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. So Sean Fitz, you've been telling people about this already. So who's the latest commit?
I like your June Part 2, by the way. Most people just call that July, but June Part 2 is good. This is the early part of August. We're recording this in advance, so hopefully it's Sunday afternoon, wherever you're watching this. But Koby Howard is in. Penn State's third receiver commit in the class of 2025 from Chaminade Madonna in Hollywood, or Chaminade Madonna Prep in Hollywood, Florida. It's his third school. He was at Western last year, and started his career at Pensacola Catholic. So he's been kind of all over the map there, but he's been pretty productive everywhere he's gone. This was a story that took a lot of zigs, a lot of zags, and maybe that's a good thing for a receiver. He visited late June for an official visit, and then sort of waited it out as Penn State missed on Lex Cyrus, missed on Matthew Otten, Taz Williams, the names that you know. Now all of a sudden he comes back in July, tests for the staff, works out for the staff. The staff gives him the green light, and less than a week later, or actually a week later exactly, he's in Penn State's class of 2025. So that's the latest edition. He's a 4-star by the On3 industry rankings. We have him as a 3-star at On3, but he's an addition at a position of need for the Nittany Lions.
And that testing and coming back and kind of earning it, we've seen players do that throughout the season and the summer season of recruiting. We've seen guys come in and earn an offer. Braswell Thomas did that early in the year, and then he committed to the program. We've seen guys that have come and have worked out relentlessly and haven't been able to get over that hump. So Koby Howard, how important was that moment for him of coming back to camp and having a chance to prove himself? And then it seems that he proved himself, Fitz.
Yeah, I think it was paramount. I think you look at what Penn State does, and they're a very data-driven, very developmental program. You look at Koby Howard's stats, numbers, all that kind of stuff, and you think, okay, how do you push him over the line? Well, you push him over the line by doing that in-person evaluation. And we had talked about that when he came off of his official visit. We heard rumblings that he tried to commit to Penn State. Penn State kind of kicked that can down the road, but chips falling as they will with Cyrus, with some of those other guys, they gave him the opportunity to come back and earn it, and he did that. And I think there's something to be said for that. There's a lot of griping about the class of 2025 in terms of wide receiver recruiting, and I absolutely get it. But this is a guy that's come through, earned his offer, and done a really nice job in doing it. And I'm very curious with him, and it's interesting. The way that we've covered him has probably cast him in a different light, because we were talking about this guy is behind some other guys on the list. This guy is somebody that Penn State's going to wait out decisions from other prospects. But he's been really productive every step of the way. He caught 70 passes at Pensacola Catholic as a freshman, 8 touchdowns. 2022, a bit of a wash. He went to the Miami camp and broke his leg at the Miami camp, which that sucks, man. Mario Cristobal came and visited him in the hospital. Like, there was a lot of this is some bad juju around that one, but he still came back late in the season, put up a couple of numbers. And then last year transferred to Western, caught 8 more touchdowns, 65 passes, over 1,000 yards. Really good playmaker with the ball in his hands. And now he goes to Chaminade Madonna Prep, which has honestly probably produced the best receiver per capita in the country in the last couple of cycles. They've put out some 5-stars. They put out some guys that have done really well. And it's going to be interesting to see how he meshes in there, because he's a guy that if he does really well there, you'd have Florida State coming back around and take a look. I think he's going to turn some eyeballs just because of the skill set that he has. I don't think he's overwhelming athletically. He ran well enough for the staff to I think give him the green light, but at the same time, I don't think that's his game. I think his game is getting the ball in his hands, getting upfield, making guys miss, getting that yak, and really that's something we could use more of on the Penn State roster when you're talking about what the skill sets are. So I'm very curious to see how this one plays out. I think he's a really good player. I think he wants to be at Penn State as evidenced by the way that the last month has gone. But it's going to be interesting to see how that goes, because he's not a 4.3 guy like the guys that they took in the 2026 class last week. He's not, it's kind of difficult to find a comp. And then you find like Hamilton, you don't want to compare him to Deshaun Hamilton because of all that Hamilton did at Penn State. So I think that's really what you're looking at. A skilled wide receiver, does some really good things after the catch. And, if that production can carry over, that's certainly something worth looking into.
And he's a guy that, as you mentioned, a good football player, good receiver. The thing I find interesting, and again, you mentioned comps and, who does he look like? Who does he remember? Who do you see when you're watching him? And in a different way, but kind of in a similar bucket, it reminds me a little bit of Taz Williams. If this is a really good receiver, you understand some of the limitations, not the fastest guy in the world. Maybe Taz had a little more juice here and there, but at the same time, like, that's what you're getting in Koby Howard, is a player that you can see runs and moves like a receiver. One of those guys that, as dumb as it is to say, kind of born to play the position, understands how to use his body in space and some of the things you see in the highlight reel. So Penn State getting another one of these players that I feel like is a good football player and somebody that feels like a strong candidate to be productive. But as you mentioned, and kind of the story around him, he doesn't have the highest level of testing numbers. But after seeing what they were, they're not bad. They are not outside of the realm of what Penn State usually looks for. It's just he doesn't have any necessarily special trait that he shows outside of being good at a bunch of different things. So with this particular recruitment, this particular class, wrapping up, what do you see at receiver? Are we, am I asking a question that we're going to get a kind of a refrain from about the class of 2025?
I mean, you look at where they're at, and they've got 3 commitments in this class, and they're obviously, I think, still going to go after some of those names that you previously mentioned. Lex Cyrus certainly being one of them, Matthew Otten, Romero Ison maybe in Baltimore or something like that. But they've got options out there. I don't think they're positioning themselves as the leader going into the season or anything like that. But you go out there, you put together a productive year, you get your guys some stats. Andy Kotelnicki's offense all of a sudden takes off, and you're going to have some phone calls to field. And I think that's an interesting thing. I don't think they're capping this at 3 guys. The number we've always kind of floated around there was 4. It'll be interesting to see how the next couple of months go with that wide receiver position, because I don't think they're done yet, even though they've gotten off to a really hard start in 2026, taking a couple of guys in the last week.
Does that change your opinion? Just kind of bring this back to Marcus Hagans and the conversation around him in June. Feels different now, but the immediate future of 2025 still has a certain conversation around it. So I guess has your opinion changed in the last week or so with 3 commits, starting with Ja'Sia Rogers back last weekend?
Not particularly. I mean, I think you look at the current cycle and you look at the challenges there, and the setbacks that they've had, especially guys that are closer to home. I mean, I really like Lyric Samuel. I like Jeff Exenor. Koby Howard is a skilled player. You're still looking for that guy, that guy that'll take you over the top and help you beat Ohio State, with that receiver room in mind. And I think you're still searching for that guy. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get there and get that speed. But they've started, like I said, they've started off really well in the 2026 class. And I think that's you're seeing a rebuild in this sense. And you started to see it in the transfer portal in the winter and the spring, some guys leaving, some older guys, some younger guys leaving, sort of clearing out that room as we really see that all the time when new coaches take over. So yeah, I mean, I don't think this one is, hey, all of a sudden Marcus Hagans can recruit. I think this is a situation where you continue to monitor that, you see which direction they go in, and you see how much better this room gets on the field this fall. Because I mean, that's the ultimate determiner, right? Like if you can get it done on the field, if you can get some of those guys, you can get Caden Saunders to get to live up to the billing. You get Liam Clifford in there. You get the transfer and Julian Fleming, maybe even an Anthony Ivy and a Tyler Johnson or something like that. That's the progress that you want to see, and that's the sort of the tangible progress that you'll see, right in front of you.
Well, we'll be monitoring that. Of course, Penn State football coverage is in full swing with Media Day and with all the things going on with training camp. So subscribe once again to BlueWhiteIllustrated.com to get that information. Sean Fitz, thank you so much for your time today. We'll be back next time Penn State gets a commit, which, I think I'll go on vacation because when I went on vacation, they missed on 2 guys, and I think everyone needs a break. Although I think Penn State fans are about to come and slap me silly for saying that. So don't want to miss on anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them if they see you in public. I mean, that's not that you brought it on yourself. So
I did. I tend to do that. So I'm gonna go. We're gonna go before I say anything else like that. We'll be back with the next one here on Blue White Illustrated.